Hey, good morning, friends. Scott Brookins here. I started a previous live and my phone kind of crashed, and so we'll try it again. Um, so hope you're having a great day wherever you are and whatever time you're seeing this, and I hope you'll continue to share and like these messages that God has really put on my heart to learn myself and to share with others. Um, the title of this message is "Oh Snap" or whatever terms. My parachute won't open, and don't know if you've ever jumped out of an airplane. Most people don't. Some people think it's really cool. I've thought at times it might be fun, but probably will never do that. But I've been reading this book. It's called The Forgotten 500. It's a true story from World War II. It was classified for many years, and then this book kind of tells the story of so many brave airmen and soldiers and what happened to them. And one of the stories was about a young man, about 24, 25 years old, Claire Musgrove. He was from a small town in Michigan. And right after Pearl Harbor, he joined the Army Air Corps. He wanted to be a pilot, and his eyesight wasn't good enough for that. But he became a gunner and became an instructor, and then was wanting to be in combat, and went to England and then over to Italy. And basically, he was trained to be a ball turret gunner. And a ball turret, if you remember, if you've seen some movies of World War II or studied that time, it was on a B-17 or B-24 bomber. And after the plane was in the air, then the gunner, his job was to get into this plastic ball that would be released underneath the bottom of the plane. And he would be in there then trapped, basically, with his knees to his face almost, because it was so small, and a couple of guns. And then his job was to look for enemy fighters that were coming after them. And so he was sent on his mission, the first mission he ever went on his very dangerous mission from Italy to towards Romania and that area for the to fight against the Germans, the Nazis. And so during his mission, they were shot. And after they bombed one of the factories or the oil refineries, they were on their way back to Italy, and they were damaged, and so they could not make it back. And so the pilot is instructing his crew to get ready to abandon ship. The plane is starting to go down. The engines have gone out. And in this ball turret, this guy was stuck, and the power to raise him back into the plane did not work. And by this time, the pilot had issued the order to abandon ship. Everyone had jumped. The plane is going down. This guy can see the plane, the ground getting closer, and he can't, there's no power for him to get out of this trap, this plastic bubble. So he hand cranks for 10 minutes or so in a very tight quarters and gets himself back into the plane as it's still going down. And because of the tight quarters, the gunner in that ball turret could not wear a parachute. And so they placed it on the floor somewhere, and then he couldn't find it because of all the plane and the damage and the up and down and so forth. And as it's going down, he can't find his parachute. So he's crawling around on his hands and knees. He finally finds it and straps it on, and he looks out, and he thinks there's enough room, to jump out, because if you get too close to the ground, there's not enough air to take you up so you don't die when you hit. And so he rolled out of the plane like he'd been trained and had trained others. And so he's feeling a little bit of relief. He's free falling out of this, crashing, burning plane, and he pulls the ripcord, and it doesn't work. And so then what do? Right? And so the story goes that he reached behind him and he started manually pulling out the parachute out of his pack. He started pulling that out, and finally the parachute took him up into the air, and he was able to then float back down to land. And, then the story continues because he was captured, and it's an amazing rescue. But the point I want to make across, or that came to mind when I was reading this again, or remembering it, was how many times do you and I, we have our plans laid out, we have our jobs or our circumstances, our families, and things go wrong, maybe terribly wrong. maybe we got the parachute on and the ripcord doesn't work, and we just give up. And we just say, oh well, that didn't work out. I'll just live with it, right? I'll just float down to the earth. I'll plummet to my death, or poor me, poor pitiful me. And we all get in those circumstances, don't we? Or at least I do. But through this story, I've learned, that we need to take some action. Even when things go terribly wrong, we still need to take action and not be a victim of our circumstances the best that we can. At least take action towards another solution. Maybe it's another job. Maybe it's another relationship. Maybe it's another business you start or ministry, whatever the case may be. And, in the Bible, in the book of James, in chapter 2, James tells us that faith without works is dead. So it doesn't matter what our circumstances are. We could have faith in ourselves, in God, in the government, in others. But if we do nothing, typically nothing is going to happen. And so I want to encourage you and myself today that when we're jumping, when it feels like we're free falling and our parachute's not opening, just don't sit there or stand there or hang there by the ripcord that's not working, but actually go do something, whatever that may be. I've heard many speakers and pastors teach that if you at least take a step of faith, then that puts more faith in action in ourselves. And I think we can trust God to get us through some of these circumstances. So I hope you'll like and share this message. I hope you'll go read this book, The Forgotten 500. It's an amazing story, many stories. And I hope you'll share this. I hope it'll impact your life and others. Go out and have an amazing day and inspire others to do the same. God bless.